Good morning. Today we're going to be reading Becky Schroeder, Young Inventor. This is a star-styled passage. This week's focus is biographies. So when we're reading biographies, we have to be thinking about the fact that this is a true story about a real person. So in this case, it's nonfiction because it's true. Our author's purpose will be to tell us about Becky Schroeder's life, because that's the purpose of biographies. It's to tell us about a famous person's life. And then I'm going to write biography up here. We know that this one's a biography and not an autobiography because Becky Schroeder didn't actually write this passage. So the first thing that we're going to do before we start reading is we're going to chunk our passages. And we need to remember that we do nonfiction a little bit differently than we do fiction. We're always going to underline or highlight the first sentence of every paragraph because that's going to be our main idea sentence. Even though we might not make a small note for every paragraph, we'll still have that to go back at and look really quickly when we're looking for answers to questions. Okay. Do you ever wish for a tool that would make your life easier? Becky Schroeder didn't just wish for such a tool, she invented one. And she was only 10 years old when she got the idea for her invention. One day, Becky was waiting inside her family's car while her mother was shopping. Becky was trying to finish her math homework, but it was getting dark outside. Since there was no flashlight in the car, she wondered how she could solve her problem. So I thought it would be neat to have my paper light up somehow, and that's when the idea came to me, Becky said. Okay, so Becky has an idea for glowing paper. So Becky is an inventor. Okay. Becky was certain she had a good idea. She just needed to turn it into a good plan. She thought about her glow-in-the-dark toys and tried to figure out how they worked and what made them glow. She studied a frisbee and decided it must be made from a material that reflected light. Becky's father took her to a hardware store, where they bought a special paint that glows after it has been exposed to light for a short time. Becky tried an experiment in her bathroom. It was the ideal place for her to test because it was the darkest room in the house. First, she applied the special paint to a piece of paper and held the paper up to the light bulb. When she turned the light off, the paint on the paper glowed. Next, Becky applied the special paint to a plastic board. Her plan was to make the board glow. She hoped that if she could get it to glow, the light would shine through. A piece of paper placed on top of the board. She held the board to the light for several seconds and found that her conclusion was correct. The painted board glowed. She would be able to write on a piece of paper, even in the dark. Okay, so our main idea sentences tell a lot about what's in the paragraphs. We've got Becky was certain she had a good idea. She needed a plan. So she's starting to plan. And I'm thinking, what did she do when she started planning? Well, she started studying other things that glowed in the dark. Becky's father took her to the hardware store. Okay, so they go, Becky's father took her to the store, and then I'm thinking about what they bought, to buy a special paint. So at first she applied it to a piece of paper and held the paper up to a light bulb. When she turned the light off, the paint on the paper glowed. Then she tried the plastic board, and she liked that better because it could be used with any paper. So we could put first applied to paper, but found a board was better. And on the next page, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to write your own small notes before I start guiding you through them, just to see if you're coming up with the same things as I am. Okay. So first of all, we need to look at this photograph up here. The caption on the photograph says, Becky shares her invention. So this photograph is put here to show Becky sharing her invention. And I'm noticing that there's a lot of people who are interested in her invention. So I'm going to write people coming to see her invention. And I can almost guarantee you that every time that you have a photograph in a nonfiction passage, they're going to ask you some kind of question about why the author included it. Soon, a big newspaper published a story about Becky's invention, which she had named glow sheets. People and businesses began ordering glow sheets. They loved her simple new tool because they could use it anytime they needed to write in the dark. Medical workers used it when they needed to make notes while caring for patients during nighttime. Theater critics used it to write notes as they watched plays in dark theaters. Scientists at NASA heard about the glow sheet and wondered whether its inventor had ever They had trouble imagining how a 10-year-old girl could have invented this amazing tool. Okay, so this is all about a newspaper publishing a story. So I'm going to put, but they go on to talk about medical workers using them. They talk about theater critics and NASA. So for my small note, I'm thinking it has to do with something, it will have to do with all of the people hearing about her invention or how they're using them. So I'll give you a second to write something down and we'll see if we come up with the same small note. Okay. Becky's invention is being used and noticed everywhere. I think that's a little bit of a shorter way to say all of those groups of people. I just said everywhere, but I went ahead and circled who they were so that if I have a question about what kind of people were using her invention, I can come back and I can see that these are my important details in that main idea. Becky became the president of her own company and the youngest girl ever to receive a U.S. patent. Circle that word patent. Her patent made Becky the only person who had the right, circle right, to make glow sheets and prevented anyone else from producing them. So a patent is just a legal piece of paper. So it has signatures on it, and all that it does is it gives Becky's the only person to have the right to make glow sheets and prevented anyone else from producing them. So patents run out after a few years, but at this point in time, Becky was the only person who could make glow sheets. Becky worked to improve her invention and tested new uses for glow sheets. She experimented with materials such as plastic and cloth. She also tried using different colors and sizes of glow sheets. Eventually, she earned patents for other types of glow sheets. Her invention wasn't just for math homework anymore. So she goes on to have more patents. So we can put youngest girl to receive a U.S. patent, because that's part of our main idea sentence. And then we can put goes on to invent more glow sheets. Okay, so after I'm looking at this passage, I'm also thinking about how this is in chronological order, which means it's the order that things happened. So if we want to know how Becky came to her big idea, we can start at the beginning of this story and learn about how she came up with the idea. And it was because she was having trouble seeing her math homework in the car. And then the process that she used to invent her glow sheets. And then after that, we have people using them and getting patents to protect her invention because she doesn't want someone else to steal her idea. I really like this story because it's neat, because Becky was only 10 years old when she invented this, which is the same age as you guys. So this is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure that you get your small notes on your PDF and turn that into me so that I can give you credit for today's assignment. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.